Did you know that in China, it's completely normal to have a live turtle in your shopping cart next to your vegetables? Yep, it's not for a pet, it's for dinner. Meanwhile, in the US, the wildest thing you'll find in a grocery cart is someone sneaking an open bag of chips. Welcome to the fascinating, hilarious, and downright bizarre world of differences between the US and China. Buckle up. Things are about to get weird. 1. Let's start with dining out. Americans are used to tipping, 15%, 20%, sometimes even more. In China, tipping is basically non-existent and can even be considered rude. Imagine leaving a waiter extra cash and them thinking, "What's wrong with this person?" My wallet could get used to that real quick. 2. Now, let's talk about toilets. While Americans are comfy on their porcelain thrones, in China, squat toilets are still a thing. And by thing, I mean a quad workout waiting to happen. Forget leg day at the gym. Just visit a public restroom in China. 3. Speaking of public habits, have you ever heard someone casually spit on the street? In some parts of China, hawking a loogie anywhere is totally normal. Sidewalks, restaurants, you name it. Meanwhile, in the US, you'd probably get a death stare if you even sneezed without covering your mouth. 4. Americans love their dogs, dressing them up in tiny costumes for Halloween or Christmas. In China, people sometimes dye their dog's fur neon colors. Ever seen a hot pink poodle or a lime green Shih Tzu? Because that's apparently a trend. 5. Breakfast in the US is pancakes, bacon, and maybe some avocado toast. In China, it's congee, basically a savory rice porridge. Oh, and they pair it with fermented tofu. Fermented! I tried it once. Let's just say it's an acquired taste. 6. Here's a wild one. In China, weddings are huge. Like 200 guests minimum. And the bride doesn't just wear one dress, she changes outfits 3 times. In the US, one dress is expensive enough, thank you very much. 7. Americans consider drinking milk daily a sign of health. In China, lactose intolerance is so common that milk is often replaced with alternatives like almond or soy. Got almond milk? 8. Americans throw rice at weddings to celebrate. In China, rice is too valuable for that. They'd probably throw noodles. Okay, not really, but you get the point. 9. Grocery shopping in the US is a pretty straightforward experience. In China, you might find live frogs, turtles, or even eels hanging out in the seafood section. And yes, people are buying them for dinner, not pets. 10. Let's talk pizza. Americans love their pepperoni, or maybe Hawaiian if they're feeling adventurous. In China, pizza toppings include corn, shrimp, or even durian. For the uninitiated, durian is a fruit that smells, well, like something died. 11th. Public transportation. In the US, a packed subway means standing room only. In China, rush hour looks like a human sardine can, if sardines pushed and shoved to fit inside. 12. The US loves sugary sodas, cola, root beer, you name it. In China, they have cucumber-flavored Pepsi. Yes, cucumber. It's like drinking a salad. 13. Americans celebrate birthdays with cake and candles. In China, it's all about longevity noodles. The longer the noodle, the longer your life. But good luck slurping without breaking one. Talk about pressure. 14. While Americans love Sunday brunch, China has Sunday hot pot. Imagine a boiling pot of broth in the middle of the table and everyone tossing in raw meat, veggies, and noodles. It's delicious but chaotic. Blink, and someone's stolen your dumpling. 15. Here's a weird one. The US loves Black Friday, where shoppers fight over TVs. In China, Singles Day is the biggest shopping event of the year, raking in billions. It's basically Valentine's Day, but for single people, and also an excuse to buy yourself stuff. 16. Ever seen dancing grannies? In China, elderly women gather in public squares for synchronized dance routines. It's like Zumba meets a flash mob. Meanwhile, in the US, the elderly are more likely to be power walking at the mall. 17. Americans say, "Bless you," when someone sneezes. In China, people just ignore it. So if you're expecting a Gesundheit, You're out of luck. 18. The US has dating apps like Tinder. In China, there are apps where parents can create profiles for their kids to arrange potential matches. Who needs privacy when mom's your wingman? 19. While Americans love their fireworks on the 4th of July, in China, fireworks are for everything. New Year's, weddings, business openings. It's like an explosion party every other week. 20. Americans are obsessed with pumpkin spice. In China, it's salted egg yolk flavor everywhere, from snacks to mooncakes. I tried it, and let's just say, it's no PSL. 21. In the US, silence during a meal is awkward. In China, it's totally normal. In fact, a quiet table means the food is so good, no one has time to talk. So, less small talk, more dumplings. 22nd. American parents cheer their kids on at soccer games. In China, kids are more likely to be cheered on at math competitions. Imagine scoring an A+ and getting a standing ovation. 23rd. Let's talk water. In the US, people drink cold water with ice all year long. In China, hot water is the default. Got a headache? Drink hot water. Stomachache? More hot water. It's basically the cure for everything. 24. The US has public trash cans every few steps. In China, they're less common, and yet the streets somehow stay impressively clean. Magic? No, just hardworking street cleaners. 25. Speaking of pets, cats in China often wear harnesses and go for walks. Meanwhile, in the US, cats barely tolerate wearing a collar, let alone strutting down the street. 26. Americans are all about personal space. In China, people are much more comfortable being up close and personal, especially in crowded public places. Hope you like hugs from strangers. 27. In the US, black cats are considered unlucky. In China, it's the color white that's associated with bad luck because it symbolizes death and funerals. 28th. Ever noticed how Americans smile at strangers on the street? In China, that might come across as a little weird. Smiling randomly could have people wondering, do I know you? 29th. In the US, grandparents spoil their grandkids with candy and toys. In China, they spoil them with boiled eggs and soup. It's less about fun and more about, eat this, it's good for you. 30. Americans love backyard BBQs. In China, grilling happens right on the street. You'll find skewers of lamb, veggies, and sometimes chicken hearts. Yes, hearts. Who's hungry? 31. In the US, the number 13 is unlucky. In China, it's the number 4. Why? Because the word for 4 sounds like the word for death. Elevators in some buildings even skip the 4th floor entirely. 32. The US has Starbucks on every corner. In China, tea shops reign supreme, offering everything from bubble tea to herbal concoctions you can't even pronounce. 33rd. Americans have lemonade stands run by kids. In China, street vendors sell fresh sugarcane juice, and they crush the stalks right in front of you. Talk about organic. 34. In America, sunscreen is about protecting your skin. In China, many sunscreens are labeled as whitening. The beauty standard here is all about staying as pale as possible. 35th. Americans love baby showers before the baby arrives. In China, celebrating a baby before birth is considered bad luck, so the real party happens a month after the baby is born. No pre-birth spoilers. 36. US advertisements are loud and in your face. In China, they can be super dramatic, like mini soap operas that make you cry over laundry detergent. 37. While Americans plan birthday parties weeks in advance, in China, it's normal to call people the day of and expect them to show up. Last minute much? 38th. Americans love driving. In China, many people don't even bother getting a license because public transportation is that good. Trains that go over 200 miles per hour? Yes, please. 39th. Americans use cardboard boxes for moving. In China, some people still rely on bamboo baskets strapped to their backs to transport goods. Eco-friendly and sturdy? 40. Americans name streets after presidents or trees. In China, street names often translate to things like Happiness Avenue or Prosperity Road. Who wouldn't want to live there? 41st. Americans shop at massive supermarkets. In China, outdoor wet markets are still super popular, where you can haggle for fresh produce, live fish, and even snakes. 42. In the US, Halloween is a big deal, with costumes and candy galore. In China, people celebrate Ghost Month, but instead of trick-or-treating, they burn fake money to honor their ancestors. 43. Americans love ice cream cones. In China, you'll find frozen treats like green tea popsicles and sweet red bean ice cream. Don't knock it till you try it. 44. In the US, nose-to-tail eating is a foodie trend. In China, it's just eating. Pig ears, duck tongues, chicken feet, it's all on the menu. 45th. Americans love big bathtubs. In China, communal bathhouses are still a thing. Nothing like bonding with strangers while soaking in hot water, right? 46. The US has spring break beach parties. In China, people climb mountains for Tomb Sweeping Day, a holiday to honor ancestors. Less partying, more reflecting. 47. In the US, Christmas lights stay on houses way too long. In China, red lanterns go up for Lunar New Year, and they actually get taken down on time. 48. The US has petting zoos. In China, some farms let visitors pick and pet their own chickens for dinner. Dark twist, right? 49. The US has road rage. In China, you'll see creative driving. Cars, scooters, and bicycles weaving through traffic like it's a video game. 50. Americans get days off for Christmas. In China, workers often get time off for Dragon Boat Festival, which involves eating rice dumplings and watching boat races. 51st. Americans love using emojis to text. In China, the eggplant emoji isn't a vegetable, it's slang for I approve. Who knew veggies could be so versatile? 52. In the US, breaking a mirror means bad luck. In China, sweeping the floor at night is considered unlucky. It's believed to sweep away your wealth. Dust bunnies can wait till morning. 53rd. Americans are obsessed with coffee. In China, tea culture runs deep, with specific ceremonies and traditions. And no, throwing a tea bag in a mug doesn't count. 54. The US has cheese on everything. In China, cheese isn't a big deal. In fact, many people think it's weird. Pizza? Okay. Cheese-flavored chips? Hard pass. 55th. Americans love their wide-open roads. In China, drivers deal with traffic jams so bad they've been known to last for days. Days. Imagine running out of snacks halfway through. 56. In the US, healthy food means kale smoothies and quinoa bowls. In China, they swear by herbal soups and medicinal teas. Kale who? 57. Americans love a good handshake. In China, a polite nod or slight bow is often enough. Less touching, more respect. 58. In the US, kids call their teachers by their last name. In China, it's always teacher, last name. Formality is king. 59th. American apartments usually come with kitchens and closets. In China, some rentals don't even have ovens. And closets? Try a wardrobe or just a pile of clothes. 60. Americans say cheers before drinking. In China, it's customary to yell ganbei, which means dry the cup. No sips allowed, bottoms up every time. 61. Americans love a good burger with fries. In China, you might find burgers made with lotus root or even pork floss. Don't ask. 62. In the US, it's all about saving for retirement. In China, it's more about relying on your kids to take care of you in your old age. Family first, am I right? 63. American weddings feature the classic white dress and vows. In China, it's red everything. Red dresses, red envelopes, and sometimes even red fireworks. 64. Americans love their beer cold. In China, it's common to drink beer at room temperature. Apparently, chilled beer is for amateurs. 65. The US has Halloween haunted houses. In China, ghost stories are way scarier. Think ancient spirits and vengeful ancestors. Forget jump scares. This is psychological terror. 66. In the US, people avoid hospitals unless absolutely necessary because of the cost. In China, hospitals double as clinics for minor issues, and it's not unusual to visit one for something like a cold or flu. Need a quick checkup? Just hop into the ER line. 67. In the US, people buy pumpkins in the fall. In China, watermelons are so popular in summer that people haul them home in giant carts. It's not a snack, it's a commitment. 68. Americans love pre-sliced bread. In China, loaves often come whole, and you slice it yourself, or just rip it apart. Rustic chic? 69. In the US, people complain about waiting in line for 10 minutes. In China, queues can last hours, especially at tourist attractions. And people just deal with it. 70. Americans love holiday cards with family photos. In China, people give out red envelopes stuffed with money instead. Honestly, I'd rather get cash than a staged photo any day. 71. The US has celebrity gossip magazines. In China, people follow celebrity dramas on social media apps like Weibo. It's like TMZ, but with even crazier scandals. 72. Americans play board games like Monopoly. In China, the most popular game is Go, a strategic board game with over 2,000 years of history. Good luck mastering that one. 73. Americans love greeting cards for every occasion. In China, it's all about red envelopes with cash. Because let's be real, cash beats a card every time. 74. The US has apple pie. In China, it's moon cakes, tiny, dense pastries filled with sweet bean paste, egg yolk, or lotus seed paste. 75. Americans love road trips. In China, train travel is king, with high-speed rail that makes driving seem prehistoric. 76. Americans have backyard pools. In China, public swimming pools are so crowded, it looks like people's soup. Hope you're okay with close quarters. 77. The US has pumpkin carving contests. In China, there are watermelon carving competitions. Who knew fruit could be so artistic? 78. Americans love their 24-hour diners. In China, there are 24-hour noodle shops. Midnight ramen run, anyone. 79. The US loves popcorn at the movies. In China, movie theaters sell dried squid as a snack. Who needs buttery fingers when you can have salty tentacles? 80. Americans love having front yards. In China, some apartments have mini vegetable gardens on their balconies instead. Who needs grass when you have fresh cucumbers? 81st. Americans love sports bars for the big game. In China, tea houses are the spot to hang out and unwind. Less beer, more green tea. 82. In the US, Uber and Lyft are everywhere. In China, it's Didi, and the drivers often hand out free bottled water and snacks. Talk about customer service. 83rd. Americans love their summer camps for kids. In China, kids go to math camps or English boot camps. Fun? Debatable. 84. In the US, losing a tooth means a visit from the tooth fairy. In China, kids throw their lost lower teeth on the roof and bury upper teeth in the ground for good luck and straight teeth. 85. Americans commonly decorate homes with personal family photos. In China, you'll often see ancestor portraits or shrines in living rooms. It's like having a VIP guest forever. 86. Americans love their golden retrievers and Labradors. In China, fluffy, lion-like chow chows are more popular, because who wouldn't want a dog that looks like a teddy bear? 87. Americans say cheese for photos. In China, people say kiezi, which means eggplant. Why eggplant? No one knows, but the smiles are real. 88. In the US, high school proms are a big deal. In China, high school graduation ceremonies are much more formal and focused on speeches than slow dances and limos. 89th. Americans love their bacon crispy and piled high. In China, pork belly is king, usually steamed, braised, or stir-fried. Think less crunch, more melt in your mouth. 90. The US is all about big, fluffy pancakes for breakfast. In China, breakfast is more likely to involve savory options like dumplings, congee, or steamed buns. No syrup required. 91. In the US, people love displaying their fancy cars. In China, it's all about the license plate. Some plates with specific numbers, like 8, a lucky number, can cost more than the car itself. 92. Americans obsess over weather apps. In China, many rely on farming calendars to predict auspicious days for activities like weddings and haircuts. No Wi-Fi needed. 93rd. Americans buy souvenirs like keychains. In China, people love gifting tea bricks, blocks of compressed tea leaves that look like chocolate, but brew like a dream. 94. Americans love neighborhood garage sales. In China, people use apps like Taobao to sell their stuff. Why haggle in person when you can do it online? 95. Americans celebrate New Year's with champagne and fireworks. In China, Lunar New Year is the big event, complete with dragon dances, firecrackers, and enough red envelopes to fund your snack cravings for a year. 96. The US loves their classic rock and pop hits. In China, karaoke favorites often include sentimental ballads or traditional folk songs. It's less headbanging, more heartstring tugging. 97. Americans buy fresh milk by the gallon. In China, most milk is sold in smaller boxes, unrefrigerated and often sweetened. The idea of plain milk? Pretty foreign. 98. In the US, it's polite to say, "excuse me," when you bump into someone. In China, in a crowded market, it's more like a silent free-for-all. Good luck squeezing through. 99. Americans call 911 for emergencies. In China, you call 110 for police, 120 for medical emergencies, and 119 for fire. Forgetting which number is which could be problematic. 100. The US is crazy about tattoos as personal art. In China, tattoos have a historical association with gangs and outlaws, so they're often seen as taboo. 101. Finally, Americans value individuality, often saying, "just be yourself." In China, the focus leans more on collective harmony, fitting into the group and maintaining balance. It's not "you do you," but "we do us." And there you have it. 101 ridiculous, surprising, and downright weird differences between the US and China. Which one shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this wild cultural ride, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more fascinating facts. Oh, and don't forget to share your own experiences if you've ever been to China or had a cultural mix-up yourself. See you in the next video.